ideally you'd start studying at 18. And ideally you picked the right major the first time around, because then by the age of 22 you'd be able to graduate, which would give you a couple of years at a job in an entry-level position, so that by the age of 25, when your partner has already proposed to you or you propose to them, you'd be up for that significant pay raise that you guys need, so that you could have enough money to buy the apartment you always wanted together. Well, I'm 25 and I just started a bachelor's degree for the second time. Many might find this odd because you associate beginning university with fresh-faced high school babies, and I find it fascinating how our expectations of time and age are so prevalent in how we choose to live our lives. Many people have projected their own insecurities onto me when we talk about this. They say, aren't you afraid to be so much older than your peers? What about your career? Because if you start studying now, then at 30 you won't have a significant income, right? And I hear other people's anxieties about age all the time. People say they can't do this or they can't do that because they're too old. And you have to wonder, why do we do this? I guess there is some sort of logic behind most time expectations. After all, we're very much taught to go through life and see it as a leveling up game of sorts. Like, our school systems are meticulously planning out the first 16 to 18 years of our lives, and people rarely fall outside of that system, and when they do, it's because something is wrong and I guess we just kept going with that when we were older, because with every age comes an expectation. We base our life around goals and milestones placed ahead of us in time. And after all, they do become the platform which we direct our development and progression, but goalposts, milestones, and expectations may also present a whole lot of limitations. A sense of direction can be a driving force that encourages you to focus more on school, to work longer hours to achieve your goals, or to create long and healthy, lasting habits. But on the other side of these goalposts are the high expectations that can definitely be restricting when you either fail to meet the expectations or you do meet them, but the stress of it just makes the experience of meeting them fruitless. Of course, an aimless life is as restricting as one that's meticulously scheduled by the hour, day, month, year, and age, but perhaps a subtle sense of aimlessness can allow our lives to be experienced to the fullest. Because what's the real benefit of keeping to the time schedule? Let's be real, the best time to go shopping or to just enjoy life in a big city center is Monday morning. And why is that? Because there's no one there, because everyone else is sticking to the basic life expected schedule, which is being at work at 9 a.m. then, which also means that this is the worst time to be in public transportation or to head to work because everyone else is doing it. There's something liberating and inspiring almost about specifically not sticking to the expected time frame of life. You might end up seeing and experiencing things that others don't, and you get a unique point of view because of that. For example, in my studies, I feel that I come with a wealth of experiences and knowledge that has been beneficial both to me and my peers, because I have 5 years of finance and marketing behind me, and I'm very grateful that I'm entering my studies with this experience. And it's not only professional stuff either. I also have interpersonal experiences that are a long way ahead of my younger peers, which I've found makes me more equipped to handle a breadth of situations, as well as it being a lot easier to know how I want to spend my time when I'm studying and who I want to spend it with. And the insecurity that some of my younger and fresh-faced no friends having peers come with does little less than ensure that they're going to waste a bunch of their time trying to be in crowds that they don't actually like, because they just don't have the experience of knowing themselves enough yet, right? The only thing that I've experienced that is truly lost with age is my naivete. I sometimes hear the 19-year-olds around me speak about the world that they haven't experienced, and I can honestly be a bit like envious of their idiocy. They know so little and they're almost just pure potential at this point, yet they speak so boldly and confidently about everything that they don't know. You can never really go back to that place. Once you know, you know. But I'm not sure that it's such a great advantage to be naive either. I think mostly people think that being naive is an advantage because it can keep you optimistic and motivated and ambitious. But I don't know. I think you can be just as optimistic and ambitious even with a lot of knowledge and age. And I think you can be defeated and pessimistic without it. I think age was very real when we were children, but age in adulthood I would consider more theoretical. Because in theory, you should have your life figured out by the age of 30. But I sure know a bunch of 30-something-year-olds who are way more lost than I was at the age of 21. I think we would probably benefit from separating mentally our developmental years from our adult years. It's just not the same. The immense growth that we go through year by year as children is unique to being a child, to becoming a person. But when we've developed, it's not like that anymore. It's like we've flattened out our developmental curve and life just becomes less linear. And that's not to say that we stop developing or anything like that, but simply that it might not happen in this concrete universal steps kind of way that we, for example, expect a child to start vocalizing or walking at a certain age, and we can't hold ourselves to that same standard when we're older, because from here on out it's more of an abstract mess and time just feels different, you know? And that's why I feel bad for people who cling to their youth. I feel bad for the people who peaked in high school, and I feel bad for the people who finished their degrees on time and never veered off track. The only thing they really got from finishing before everyone else is the ability to say, hey, I did it on time, and yay, congrats, now you get to spend the rest of your life working. I don't know. I'm kind of aiming to ensure that my retirement age will be the time that I peak. After all, it's the final chapter, so it should be the best time of your life. And constantly reinventing yourself, being curious and willing to try new things seems to be, at least to me, the key to living an exciting life. Especially women are encouraged to have a tense relationship with time. Society is not kind to aging women, and I can feel the effects of this with many of the girls that I speak to. Talks of a biological clock is immense in some circles, and I think that this is nothing more than a patriarchal conspiracy theory. Of course, fertility might be important to some, and old age can be a physical hindrance to having children, but this shit about needing to find someone by a certain age so that you can be together X years before you get married, and then you can have children, like, come on. You don't settle for a crappy partner just to meet the supposed fertility deadline. And also, you're way more than your ability to procreate. And also, life is way more than your ability to procreate. And I believe that if it is this important to you, you're gonna figure it out. And that's what's so great. Like, if you want kids, by all means, have them. But also remember that there are very many ways to do so that doesn't leave you dependent on another person or a time frame, which is what's so amazing about modern life. Technology has made it possible for you to freeze your eggs, for example. Wow, cool. Use it if it's important to you. But again, I suspect that a lot of the fertility anxiety is not actually about the fertility, but it's linked to this larger looming idea that your life will end when you turn 40. Type of attitude, because when you're old, you're not as attractive anymore. And especially for women, it's apparently extremely important that we are attractive. But that's just not true. Don't let people make you think that you won't be hot when you retire, because I think you will be. And in contrast to popular belief, I can tell you that old people do fuck. Once when I visited my grandma at her nursing home, the staff was telling me how there was this guy who was just obsessed with her and tried to ask her out all the time, was just chasing her. And they went on a date, but the date was like, they ended up running away, or I guess wheeling away in their electric wheelchairs all the way to Walmart to buy candy together, which is so sweet. And honestly, at that point, I was a teenager and I just realized like, oh shit, my grandma has a more exciting summer fling than I do. And it just made it extremely clear to me that age has very little to do with anything. It's more arbitrary than we think. And life is fun as long as you're fun, I think. So yeah, 25 is late to start a bachelor's degree. Yeah, you're probably later than a lot of people on something, but also just do whatever you want to do at whatever age. It really does not matter. And looking back at it, I think when you sort of have more of a bumpy ride and you do more things that are like off schedule, you end up having a lot more fun stories to tell anyways. So